folks. Hello, and welcome to the Tavern Chat podcast. Today is Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. So there's a lot of great retail sales going on. I think, I don't know, it's just when I bought my big screen TV set last year and made a few other purchases. I really haven't purchased much strangeness this year. There is a humble bundle of Frog God, Goodman Games, Kobold Press, and Trollord Games. I have that linked on the blog side if you want to support the tavern, and you're going to get a shit ton of stuff for 5e, DCC, Castles, and Crusades. That's a great place to go. Just use the link in my blog, and the affiliate monies will, I don't drink coffee. Yeah, and I refuse to buy anything at Starbucks for those prices. I'm not going to say I'm buying me a tea, but it'll keep me in Keurig cups for my Keurig. It doesn't brew coffee, it just brews tea. That's me. So today is a catch-up day on voicemails. And it's a catch-up day on voicemails because I have been doing the voicemails on the cast recently, but now that we have voicemails up, we have the videos going up on Anchor and Spotify and being converted to the podcast in like lickety split. I think we put up 25 this week. I've been getting voicemails on the Anchor side. So I figured this is a great opportunity. We'll do a little catch up, hear some of the regular callers, and little bits and pieces, a little additional thoughts. So the first we're going to hear from is Randy from Biggest Geekus.
Eric, this is Randy at Biggest Geekus. I hadn't thought of the xenophobia take. That was a big deal in Ravenloft. I forgot about that. Joe and I had made a couple of comments, home negative playing blast, actually, of the new Ravenloft book, and we had forgotten that one. But I'm glad you had pointed that out because that is definitely a trope. There's lots of other issues with the new book, and I know you probably won't get it. I'm not going to get it, but if you wanted to listen to our most latest episode, you'll hear us kind of rant pretty hard of the Ravenloft book.
And by the way, guys at Biggest Geekus, they're great guys. They do a great podcast. If you're an old school gamer or even a new school gamer, it's going to get additional view on what's going on in the gaming world. They do a really good coverage.
After the end credits, where we moved our more negative comments, I also thought it was pretty. I guess I probably knew it, but I'm glad you pointed out about reviews. I didn't realize Drive-Thru and other places didn't like you to leave negative reviews,
They hate negative reviews. And if you're a reviewer, you've got to the Drive-Thru is, at least it's, again, now I am no longer a featured reviewer because now I'm a publisher, so I don't get like my free PDFs to review. But if you are a featured reviewer, they don't want you giving less than 3 stars. If you're going to give less than 3 stars, you should either not share it and not post it. You can post it on your own. Like I could post it on the Tavern and review something, but I couldn't do it on Drive-Thru. So it's going to be something that's going to be less than, I guess, satisfactory. So they don't want that. They're giving out free stuff because they want good publicity. They don't want bad publicity. And yes, all publicity is good publicity. Not when it comes to reviews like this. Okay, if somebody says this is a piece of shit and it's a 1 star and I got it for free, no, they just want you to shut your mouth. Shut your yap.
Stupid. I mean, if a company gives you a book as a copy and asks you to review it, they can't expect you to just give positive reviews.
Yes, they can. Well, they do, and they certainly they want a positive review or no review at all. And that's kind of the reason why I get some books sent to me by some mainstream publishers, Simon & Schuster and stuff like that. And it's like, there's stuff I like about this piece and there's stuff I really don't like about it. And if I just stress what I like about it, it's not going to be honest. So maybe it's just best that I not review it and probably don't get any more free shit from certain publicists. And that's fine. Okay. I'm not in it for the free shit. I'm not in it to get paid. That's what I'm doing, right? So
That's ridiculous. I mean, that's not even reviews. So yeah, that's just crazy. Anyway, keep on keeping on, bud.
again, that's Randy from Biggest Geekus. Now, next, I believe we have Kevin. This is about social media and social media friends. He makes some good points that I wish I had made.
Hey Eric, it's Kevin Cullion from the Red Caps podcast. Was just watching the YouTube video on how not to make friends on social media and how social media friendships does not equal friendship. Wanted to agree with almost everything you were saying. I think part of the problem comes from the fact that on social media like Facebook or Twitter or even Reddit, people use it as they create a profile, and that profile contains their entire world because apparently they have to have an opinion on every single issue or item out there.
And that is true. They have to have an opinion on everything. And you know what? You can have your. If I'm here to talk about gaming, right? I don't need to know your opinion on the latest news event or social issues, and it doesn't affect my gaming discussion, unless you make it affect my gaming discussion, which probably means I don't want to hear about it. And yes, social media friendship does not necessarily equal true friendship. Although I've made a number of, honest to God, true friends because of social media. But just because we are friends on social media does not mean that we are friends, right? I mean, some people are like, "But I have 3,200 friends." No, I don't. I really think that Google Plus had it better when I said these are people that were in your circles, right? The circles that you travel in. Yes, they circled me. That doesn't mean that they befriended me, but they followed me, and that made it was a better way. I'm not even going to go into the history of Facebook, but yeah.
So rather than focusing like we may have done back in the day on BBSs or on forums, where I joined this forum to discuss this topic, and any other discussions are kind of outside noise or buzz. This is going to be a two-parter. One moment. So part two, as I was saying, so on like a forum where you would focus on a single topic, whether that be old school gaming or classic motorcycle repair, and then everything else that got discussed is usually secondary or completely disregarded or even outright banned, depending on the forum. On these social media platforms, everything is discussed, and there is no, finding just common interests because people don't stick to a single topic. They merge everything all together, and that's one of the weaknesses and one of the reasons why there's so many divides. Is that while you and I might completely agree on one particular topic, I see you posting on something else that just drives me crazy, and then suddenly I must blacklist you because I can't. It's silly, and that's the problem. Anyhow, not anything groundbreaking there, but just thought I would share. Take care.
And you know what? Kevin's points are all valid, and that is an issue with things like social media. It's like you assume a familiarity, and you also assume that your opinion means everything. Not there is this trend, I should say, on social media that your opinion means everything, and everybody else's opinion means shit. And when everybody views it that way, it becomes a lot of slaying of shit back and forth. So yeah, it's a useful method of communication, but I think it somewhere got lost in the translation in the process. So now we have Jason. Now Jason has left us a number of messages. So let's go to Jason.
Hey, Eric, Jason here. I realize this is 2 weeks old on YouTube, but you just put it out on the podcast.
And yes, folks that are following along at home, like I said, it's about 25. Is it 25? I believe it is 25 episodes that are up on Anchor over the last week. Probably going to put up another 20 or 25 over the, I don't know, next couple of days. And then it should be slowing down. Some stuff won't be getting uploaded. I don't know if we're going to do the gamers health stuff. Well, maybe we will, but it'll definitely not the gamers health live stream, because me doing yoga, if you can't see it, what's the point to listening to it? I don't think it's going to work. But yeah, thank you, Anchor and Spotify, for fixing whatever was going on behind the scenes that made uploading videos to convert to audio the most painfully tedious, long ass process. Now is one of the quickest processes I've seen in my modern computing days. So thank you. All right, back to Jason.
As far as one sheet adventures and short adventures, I do not think you need any stat blocks in there. If you have a unique creature or a unique trap, you could put a stat block in there. But I think if it's just things that are already in the rule books or already in systems that people are going to use to play, there's no reason to put the stat block in there, as long as it's in the core rules. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, and here's the thing too: if you're gonna do stuff, right now, maybe you want to do something that's, I mean, when I'm gonna say systemless, OSR systemless. So in other words, I could use it for Labyrinth Lord, Axe, Swords and Wizardry, Continual Light, Castles and Crusades, right? They were all pretty much on that same page. Fight Stripe and Orc, or I say it's 2 ogres, you know, right? You just find it. Doesn't quite work the same for DCC RPG, which is a bit out of the wheelhouse of the rest of the OSR. It's a bit unique, but I'm just thinking that might be a good way to save on space. Yes, we have projects in the works for 2022. And pub crawls is one of them. So there's one sheet adventures. Bad Mike has prepared a few. We just got to tighten them up and get them out after Christmas. I don't think it'll start before Christmas. I think it's going to be December is going to be December. All right, back to Jason.
Okay, another belated message. Again, this was published on the 22nd November, but yet on YouTube, I think a couple weeks earlier. But congratulations on your 10th anniversary to you and Rachel.
Thank you. And as I've said other places, and I'll say it again, the fact that I do these videos and I've done podcasts and I've been blogging for over a dozen years or so, it's all because of Rach. The support of Rach for me to do such and to be involved in such is amazing. So 2 thumbs up for my wife. And the fact that she does the Gamers Health podcast with me on Saturday nights. God.
That's great. And as far as phylactery goes, I agree with you 100%. There's nothing wrong with changing things because it's the right thing to do. But if you are going to change things, especially if you're going to edit older books, definitely put a footnote in there. I think that Flying Buffalo did a good job with that with Tunnels and Trolls, where they renamed a spell.
They might have renamed more than one spell. I know that the British editions of Tunnels and Trolls from back in the 80s renamed certain spells because the Brits were like, these names are either silly, I think Take That, You Fiend, or Poor Baby. I think those might have been, but definitely Yes Amasa were things that were changed in the British editions.
Initially, they changed it in the old editions without any notes, but then they went back and added a small comment. And I think if you edit older editions, you should mention that it's, you made that revision, but you don't have to call a bunch of attention to yourself.
And again, calling attention to yourself is, look at us. We're doing this not because it's the right thing to do, but we're doing this because we want the pat in the back, and we want your money, and we want to show you, like, look, we're the good folks. Enough of this shit, man. You do good deeds because they're good deeds to do. You don't do good deeds for recognition. If you're doing a good deed for recognition, it is really not a good deed, my humble opinion. But in any case,
just put a footnote somewhere. Anyhow, good thoughts. Glad that you're putting the podcast back out. Talk to you soon. Okay, the last of my rapid fire calls to Anchor that probably won't be heard.
Wrong, Jake. You're wrong. But here's the truth is, What's weird about the Anchor interface is it doesn't tell me when these voicemails come through. Might do it on my phone, but on the interface on the computer on the web, doesn't tell me. So it just gives me an order of these calls. But not too shabby.
Well, that's not true. I think you will hear them because I have faith in you, Eric.
Yes, thank you for having faith in me, Jason.
You're actually a good guy. But no,
All right, I'm busting Jason's balls. He's busting mine, so it all works out fine. But I will probably not be listening on a daily basis to the Anchor stuff because I got to remember to look. It's probably gonna be 2 to 3 days. I probably should make a schedule. Same thing with if you use the Google voicemail number that's down below 347-509-5168. Now the Google voicemail does have the added capability of I think your voicemails can be 2 or 3 minutes long. God help us, but yeah, you're not limited to 59 seconds like you are, or 60 seconds on Anchor.
enough giving you a big head. I will say, I just listened to your episode on forums, and yeah, I check out OD&D 74, Knights and Knaves, Ale House, and Dragon's Foot quite a bit. I'm getting back into OD&D, and I know that probably gives you shivers. Because why wouldn't I use Swords and Wizardry, which is a lot easier to use?
Because there is something special about going back to original worlds, and I understand that. I never ran OD&D back in the day, and if I was going to run a pure D&D, it would probably be Holmes or Mulvey, basic, just my wheelhouse. But because the original D&D was it contradicted itself in points. It wasn't the most organized game, but it was the first of its kind, really. So I guess you can't expect too much.
But there's something quaint and fun about that. But yeah, I'm much more of a forum guy, but I tend to be a lurker, not a poster. I think I need to get more involved with them because you got to keep them alive, right? The RPG Pub's another one that's out there. It claims to be not political, but you got a lot of cat fights in there too. So I don't know. It's kind of weird seeing.
And here's the thing: when you try to be non-political or apolitical, you're always going to have people that are going to say, "Well, by being non-political, you're being political. If you tell me I can't talk about politics, then you're being political by not allowing me to talk about politics." You're entitled to your opinions. We all are, right? But we're also entitled to say, "Hey, this forum, this community." Doesn't allow such talk or greatly curtails such talk because I've said before, it's not because these conversations aren't important ones to have, but this isn't the shit that you want to hear in your, Castles and Crusades forum or on your, 5e community on Facebook or your OSR community on MeWe, right? You don't go there to hear about politics. You go there to hear about gaming. And I think that's important to remember. And there are some people, some companies that pride themselves on the left and the right, both of them, that we're going to market to our type of fan. And that's fine. And they should certainly have forums that reflect that. I think that is fine. And they can even have Facebook communities that reflect that and MeWe communities, but they shouldn't be bringing that into other people's communities. And therein, I think, is where the line gets drawn. But hey, just my opinion. And I believe we have one more from Jason.
Eric, Jason here. Glad to hear that your Arduin stuff showed up. To be fair, when you did your very first episode on it, I saw that. I had always been wary of ordering from Emperor's Choice. I have a set of the trilogy. I think I paid like $150 for 3 books. It was a pretty good buy. I got rusted staples, but like you, I can't see them anymore without a magnifying glass.
I've had this discussion with friends of mine that are a generation older than me, and what it comes down to is getting old sucks, right? But the one thing that's worse than getting old, because when you get old, your vision starts going, your body starts breaking down. But what's worse than getting old? Not getting old, right? Just you're ceasing, you're dead. I'd rather get old and start, figuring out how do I overcome the latest handicap than not have that as a worry because I'm 6 feet under. It's coming from somebody who thought he was going to be potentially 6 feet under last year. So yeah, um, I'll just I'll get a book with larger print, please. Thank you very much.
But I took a risk. For years, people said don't order from Emperor's Choice. So I took a risk. I ordered all 9 books, like $100 for all 9 books. And I've got a shipping notice and tracking number. So that plus the fact you have physical product in your hand gives me faith that it will show up.
My understanding is that Emperor's Choice sent out, I don't know how many packages, everything, pretty much every order that came in shipped, and then they got hit with a lot more orders. So I think what's going to happen is that they're going to get to the point where they're not going to be able to restock. And it's this will go back to supply problems, right? Even though they use an American, a U.S. printer, there's a paper shortage, right? So you've got to generally, as far as earlier, maybe it's like, oh, I have an order to put in. Oh, yeah, it'll take us a 7-day turnaround. Now it's like, well, we got to actually get the paper for your order. And, we have a 30-day backlog on things that have to get printed. So I know they are being inundated with orders. I have no idea what their stock issues are, but it's gratifying to see. I think Arduin is just such a gold mine for ideas, and I think it's been overlooked by the gaming community for years. And again, I've found and seen so many concepts that were Dave's that he was writing about in the early '80s that modern day publishers are treating as if it's new. And I don't know if it's like, yeah, it's an idea that Dave had, but we had no idea. We never saw the Arduin trilogy. I mean, had no idea this concept was priorly used. Not that any of this stuff is tables and general concepts and rules cannot be copywritten. Just a presentation can, and so that would mean you can't do exact copies. There's a whole. One day I got to get somebody who's a bit more of a legal scholar on to discuss these issues. But yes, I'm just very glad that to see Arduin coming along, and I'm going to be delving into it, like diving into the deep end of the pool when you can only dog paddle.
And I'm so happy to hear this larger print that I won't need a magnifying glass to read. So thank you. As far as what to do forward, honestly, I think the blog makes sense, and 1 day a week on the podcast. Do Thursday Arduin day or whatever day, right? And then the blog, honestly, because this probably doesn't appeal to everybody, but appeals to me.
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, I really suspect that what I'm going to do is have a post or two a week where I'm looking at more of the rules crunch that Dave has put forward in the Arduin books. And I think that a lot of the Arduin stuff that is more essay-like is something that will engage the viewers, engage the listeners, whether it's on a podcast or a vidcast, because it is a bit more timeless and isn't tied to a system. So if I talk about one of Dave's essays from one of the books, actually one's going to be book 4, might be tomorrow. I think that it will drive discussion that goes beyond just Arduin, and it will drive discussion about gaming in general. And that's what I want to do, But I get to use Dave as part of the method of doing so. Of course, I moved, and then somehow my camera lost focus. Ooh, I don't know. Maybe I just lost focus. Folks, that's the end of the voicemails. As always, there it goes, back in focus. Damn camera. As always, we are in the midst of the world of the pandemic. Don't want to get too much into the real world bits of things. All I ask is use your common sense. Take actions to keep yourself healthy. Because if you're not healthy, you can't help others, right? You can't help your community if you're sick. So take precautions that fall under common sense. You know your health risks. You know where you stand on that stuff. Talk to a medical professional that understands your health risks, your medical conditions, or lack thereof. Maybe you're young and healthy and at low risk. Your decisions that you make will be different than somebody who's 54 with comorbidities out the wazoo. In any case, be safe, be well, God bless, roll those dice, roll them well. And I will be back tomorrow night with the Gamer's Health at 8 p.m. with my wife, Rach, and quite possibly a short episode in the afternoon. We shall see. We shall see. All right, folks. On that note, I'm out of here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching.